Woody Allen said, what is the secret of success? 95% of the success is about being there. You cannot make films if you're not there where the films are shot, right? So I think it's a valid point that Peter raised, but don't worry, I will not punish you because you are here. You are still one of the better half, right? Okay, yeah. Okay, hey, so we will then add some energy into it. We will put a bit more speed. So we will talk about 2 core documents that are needed to agree on by the team to make sure that they are talking about the same thing, they are focused on the same thing. And we have a few exercises. We also have 3 team-based competitions, and I have 2 rewards. So I know that one of those competitions nobody will solve. So. And I also ran short of money this morning when I bought the chocolate. So hello everybody, my name is Juha Saukkonen. I come from Jyväskylä, Finland. I will show you very briefly what it might mean, what kind of a place it is. And well, I'm the most northern person in the room, I assume. So we are located some 300 kilometers north of Helsinki, 400 kilometers south from the Arctic Circle. So you can imagine that it's not exactly Valencia weather-wise. But there we are. I work mostly in JAMK, University of Applied Sciences, and I also do some work for the University of Jyväskylä, like in this project. I assume you had a round of presentations Monday. Everybody presented each other, so you more or less know each other by now. And I know nobody but one. Some people I know by name and one I know by nature, and her teammates. So I don't have time to learn everything about you in this short time. But I started thinking, okay, I can show you our university web pages, but they are very boring. And then I thought that, okay, I can show you my CV. And by the way, that is also very boring. Because then I tell what I am. I'm a doctor of science. I graduated 2 years ago. So it took a bit of time for me as well. Maybe I was late also at some point. I've been working before joining academia in industry. And that's maybe why I have this kind of international skills, I hope. And this is what I do. I'm a senior lecturer of management in our international business bachelor degree program. I'm collaborating with the ICT faculty in University of Jyväskylä. But this was the boring story. I will tell a bit less boring story very soon. But briefly about Jyväskylä. I showed you a brief video. Can you confirm that it shows there in Teams? Yes. Okay, good. So then in the middle of Finland, Helsinki would be here, Stockholm is here, Tallinn is here, Oslo is there, St. Petersburg, by the way, is here. So we have 1,200 kilometers borderline with Russia. That makes life exciting. It's not so boring at the moment, I can tell you. This is where we approach our city from the western side. Up there at the end of the lake. This is the new this is the motorway leading into the city. In Finland we have 166,666 lakes, roughly. And in our region, it's like 100 kilometers around the city. We have 14,000 lakes. So this is the lake. By the way, what kind of lake has been shot?
Somewhere in the night.
Looking at where the sun is coming from, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. We don't know the sun. So this is, let me see. There we would have the JAMK campuses. This is the industrial district. I must speak a bit because we have no time. I try to find you a bit of a scenery you do not see in here. Maybe the best ski jumper of all times. Matti Nykänen comes from Jyväskylä, late Matti Nykänen, very athletic hero. come to Jyväskylä, JAMK and University of Jyväskylä pay you a free jump. You don't have to pay anything, right? So this area is quite full of student dormitories and so on. So that is Jyväskylä in the summertime. And then when we go into winter time, everything is the same except there is 1 meter of snow everywhere and minus 20 degrees. So then we would be skiing in this area, we would be skating on the lakes, and so on. So welcome to Jyväskylä, nice place to be. And of course, I'm a bit biased, but I'd love to say also that we have nice people there. Okay, why do we have to care about personas? How many of you heard the persona concept the first time when you took this course? Or was it no?
Everybody did at the business plan. Yeah, it's for the first.
Well, because I have already heard it before.
Heard it or have you even used it?
Used, but it was with on the subject actually in the school before. But it was.
Was it a marketing course or product design?
Entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is very common nowadays in marketing talk and in entrepreneurial courses. Personas is also, everybody knows MIT, one of the top universities in the world. They have developed a method called DE, Disciplined Entrepreneurship, by Bill Orett and the colleagues. And I'm teaching my entrepreneurial technology business courses with that method, and they also use personas. We are now writing a research paper with some colleagues of mine who are more in the management and HRM, and we are discussing, could we also think about personas when we are designing the company's own HRM services to their people? Because I don't know how many of you already have experience working in the companies. People there are different. They are different in their values, in their motivations, in their educations, and still the HRM services try to be very unified, which might be just like you said yesterday, compromise that nobody's happy with. So personas are maybe coming into all areas of business. Product data sheet sounds like an easy thing to do for people who are coming from engineering, but it's much more than the technical specification. So I will explain why we need to learn this and why we have to do them in the team. And we have to discuss about them when we are running an entrepreneurial team. But yes, about me, a bit more, Finland. Like for the snow, the lakes. These are my areas of teaching and research. I voted the ones that I hope are most important for this course. Hello, welcome, DCT with your teammates. So I teach technology business. I research the impact of technologies to business. For example, now I study quite a lot. I do research and I teach about how management in the future can be supported with artificial intelligence, machine learning, algorithms, and so on. But also the ethical problems there are, or let's say sustainability problems we might also have when we start adding intelligence. And before I tell about myself a bit more, you have given a presentation to each other. Now, everybody, think about one fact about you that the Google, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok doesn't know.
As a team or
As a person, is there something about you that we cannot know about you by Googling or going to Instagram and so on? And please share it with the people around you who thought they know you. What is the dark secret that the Twitter doesn't know? You don't have to say it aloud, but share it with people around you. I will then share mine.
I don't.
You already shared yours?
No. Lecturers, is there something that Twitter, Facebook, Google, and so on do not know about you that might be interesting? Or they know everything about you?
Probably everything.
They say nowadays that...
Nowadays, I think everything, because when I'm going somewhere for a holiday or something about my professional, it is on the somewhere in the.
Yeah. And why I took this example is that when you are doing technology business, especially people from engineering background, specify a bit more, people with ICT background or data analysis, they think that all the data we need is somewhere there, which is like a time that we can make the perfect business decision. But the reality is that all the business decisions in this world are made based on information. And that is, by the way, the part where all the interesting things happen. The things that we know, things we innovate in, and so on. But I will explain about myself. If I was not here, I would be preparing for our Finnish baseball training. If somebody wants to know what is Finnish baseball, ask these guys. So I will be leaving soon. They will come one day. If you want to get a short presentation, it's like American baseball on steroids. So much more things happening there. American baseball, has anybody seen a match? Yeah, I was once in a university baseball match in Austin, Texas. And I had been there 3 hours. I had eaten hot dog, nachos, ice cream, Diet Coke, candies. Nothing had happened in the game. And it was 1/3 of the game. I went back to my hotel. But in Finnish baseball, things happen. What else do I do? This is my dark secret. All these sports and things are so macho, you know. A sports guy, but in fact, I like gardening. Don't tell anybody. In fact, my wife thinks I like gardening, but I like building these species. Because everything I touch, I'm done. Except that face, it will stay forever. And then I do also poetry. So that's me, a bit less boring side. And naturally, I'm a great fan of Spain and Italy. And Ukraine, I'm Ukrainian now, and I like to do weightlifting every time I'm injured, which is not very often in this age, but that's another story. And now it's the first competition of today. People who were yesterday with me in football, I'm a great fan of football. But I'm a great fan of three football clubs. None of them is from Finland. First one you could never get. I can tell you. The second one, if you can guess the second and third one, your team will win a chocolate bar. You can only guess once. Valencia. John, that team is out.
Any questions?
No. What other football teams are a great fan? You can ask one question per team. Yeah.
Increase in
yes. Yeah. Real Madrid, great. And only one team left. Who can do the third one?
FC Barcelona.
No, it's fan of Real Madrid.
I don't like
Sorry? No, I can reveal the secret. It's any team who is playing against FC Barcelona. I will eat the chocolate myself. Okay, good. Okay, let's go to the content of the day. Okay, let's see why there is a problem in the startups. Yesterday, when I was listening to your presentation, I was listening to the comments. I noticed that the thinking gets wider and wider. New ideas are coming even when you are presenting and somebody's commenting, hey, our product will be that way, our market will be that, or our customer, Clara, could in fact be not exactly that Clara, but a different Clara. But we have to have a common idea of what we are doing. And let's do a free exercise. I'll show you one phrase that only has 10 words. And you have to draw a picture on how you understand that phrase. And you have to use 4 elements. You, which is the normal strawman up there, the man that has a different symbol, there must be the hill and the telescope. Please draw a picture using these elements. Everybody personally, and you do not talk to each other. Everybody does this individually. So the question is, who's on the hill, who's got the telescope, and so on. So draw a picture, how you interpret this phrase. Okay, that's the deal. With that. That's the man. Okay, make sure that we know who's the man. That's all. And be sure that we know who is the man and who is you, if you do the drawing. Sorry about that. You have to take it.
Here.
Where you are,
E and man.
and man's got the telescope. Okay, what about you?
I saw your presentation.
No, but how do you interpret this phrase? So, do it already? So draw a picture that has 4 elements: you, the man, the hill, and the telescope.
Only these 4 or
Sorry,
only these 4 or should I add something?
only these 4 elements and only one picture at this point.
What are the 4 elements?
The ones there: you, man, hill, and telescope. Yeah, in your picture, all these 4 elements must be there.
Can I use them twice?
No, you only one picture where every element is only once.
Okay.
Now you see when you start, can we do this twice? No, you can't. One does it twice, one does it once, then we don't know what we're talking about. Is it difficult? No, it's very easy. There's the man. He's on the hill. You have to say. All right, you both have. The man's got the telescope. What about you? Where are you? You're there. And the man's got the telescope. Where are you? I'm here. And you got the telescope. That's piece of it. Okay, it's mostly done. Think about basically, if we take the A and the and A words out, it's a 7-word phrase, and it's still subject to many interpretations. How many of you had this one? Where, number 1, where you have the telescope, the man is on the hill. Did somebody have this? Did somebody have number 2? The hill's got the telescope. The man hasn't got the telescope, but it's on the same hill. It's possible, isn't it? What about number 3? The man's got the telescope, and he's on the hill. Good. Number 4, you have the telescope and you are on the hill, but the man is not. And number 5, you are on the hill, but the hill's got the telescope and the man is not on the hill. So from this one single phrase, minimum 5 different interpretations. So don't think that when you make your presentation, when you make your business plan, people will understand it the same way that you do, or even your teammates. This was just a kind of a reminder how words are one thing and presentations. And the first thing we have to agree on is personas. Who are personas and why are they? First of all, never create one persona for your idea. I guess you have, if you have not been yet mentioned, somebody will mention to you during this course the word pivot. Have you already discussed pivoting? Pivot means you have to change something from your original business idea. Pivot, does somebody play basketball? You know what is a pivot? Pivot move is basically in basketball. that you've got the ball and you want to pass the ball that way, but you notice you cannot, there is the opponent there. So you turn a bit, you keep one of your legs in the same position. So you change the product, or you change the market, but you cannot change everything. That is a pivot in business. And when we are changing the market, the personas will change because they are different type of people in different market segments. So remember, it's better to create more. Different personas have different needs. And when they have different needs, you might need a different product features for them. And also how they, what is their concept of value is different. This is especially important when you are in B2B business. You are a company selling solutions to other companies. I'll show you later on one example about that. And it's good to think about many personas, but to start with one and try to understand the first customer segment we go to and personas in there. Why do you think I have these two pictures here?
Because they are the same, but they aren't.
They are roughly the same, but in reality they are. They all look like customers, but when we look at them, they are a bit different size. They behave in a different way. What might be the other explanation for these two pictures?
The individual and collective needs.
Like we are choosing one from a similar like part of.
Yeah. So imagine yourself in a rabbit hunter, but not having any fun. You have to catch the rabbit by running. Can a man catch a rabbit by running? Yes, we can. Rabbits will get tired before we do. They are good at short sprints, but they get tired. People used to hunt wolves in Finland by running. Wolves got tired before the man. But if you try to catch many rabbits, you have 10 different personas your team has been thinking of, and you try to catch them, you will not catch any. Because you get tired, because they go here and there and everywhere, and you are also going like this. So the message here is try to focus on one persona, understand them well. You're more likely to catch at least that one rabbit. You have to focus. You have resources of resources. You have a limited time is one reason. You have monetary limitations, time limitations. You have knowledge and people limitations. So you have to focus. And it's good persona is one of those key documents where we can basically unite our startup behind. Can we create personas or should we find them? I think in German the phrase is JAIN. No. In Russian they say yes, and the Finnish we say Juha, which means yes but no, or no but yes. So first of all, it's good to ideate. First, it's good to ideate what kind of a person would be interested in what we are doing. And please remember, the personas should not be like you. We have this sample size 1 policy in business development. What do I mean with sample size 1?
Like we take the proportion of our persona that will be us, just you, like one person.
Even though we know it's wrong, we still think if I don't like this or if I like this feature, I assume everybody is. So your sample size is one person and that is you, which is not very clever. You're creating product to yourself. Might work, but it's not very likely to do so. So ideate widely the characteristics the persona should have and filter the profile down to things that make them different. And what is the kind of added value of persona-based market segmenting rather than the traditional demographical one? It's easy to understand. So the traditional market segmenting used to go that way. For example, you take income level, and we would have 3 values: low income families, medium, and income values.
And then you could add, for example, let's use only two. So let's use gender, and then we have males, females, if we are in a consumer market. And then we have a third dimension that would be, for example, location. We would have Asia, Europe, Americas. How many different market segments have I just ideated on? How many segments there are?
18.
Yeah. 3 times 3 times 2. Imagine if we would divide America to South America and North America. Or if we have, for example, companies, we have companies between 0 to 10. So SMEs, micro-sized companies, SMEs, much companies, multinational companies. Nobody can study 18 market segments. So demographical thinking is kind of not so interesting anymore, more interesting in the psychography of the people. Think about electric vehicles. They are expensive, aren't they?
They are compared to
cars. Still, when you look at who are buying the electric cars today, it's not only the wealthy.
Right.
It is people who care about their life. So there might even be young families who just decide if they need a car, they go for the electric car.
It's about their values. It's about their psychography rather than their demography. It's not so easy to anymore just say, okay, let's take the facts. What's the income level? Where does the person live? Is it a male or female? Then we know how they behave. People are crossing the boundaries of the demographic segments. And remember, persona is not just a bullet point list of the characteristics. You have to give the persona a face. Feelings, emotions, fears, watering holes, so where are they spending their free time, how can you reach them, what kind of media they are using, and so on. But you can also find these people. What is the best way of finding people nowadays for professional purposes?
Social media.
Social media, what social media, especially if you are in B2B?
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
Sometimes Twitter.
Sometimes Twitter, but LinkedIn gets you kind of a good idea. What is this person about? How has the career been? What is the person interested in? What has the person been sharing? So it is not only about demographics, that, okay, what did I study, where am I now? But it's also about these values and interests. So LinkedIn is a great favor. You don't have to do a lot of hardcore detective work nowadays. It's funny they said about, most of you know something about a country that used to be called Eastern Germany, right? How many people were working for Stasi, the secret police? How big part of the population was spying for the Stasi, their friends and neighbors? What do you think?
10%.
40% were following the other 60%. Would Stasi have a business today? No, you guys are doing it yourself. Right? You are revealing everything except my gardening, but now you know it, please don't spread it. So nowadays, basically, people can be found, your personas can be found, for example, from LinkedIn, or looking at certain key events, who is speaking there, who is going there. And if you go there, you even can meet those people. So you should not discuss when you have the persona, and you even decide, let's go and talk to the persona. You talk about the problem. You do not talk about your product or your solution. They're not interested in your product, sorry guys. They're interested in the problem and solving the problem. They are interested in, how would I say it shortly, they're interested in the utility or the benefit of what you offer, but you very often are in love with your product. Sorry for my drawing skills. This is an electric drill. It looks something like this. "3,000 rounds per minute." This is the product. Why is the customer buying an electric drill?
Because he needs it.
Sorry?
He needs it for some work at home.
Some work at home. So this is the product. And one feature of the product is the drill bit. We can call it the feature. Is this the benefit to the customer? Owning a drill with a drill bit, does it give any value?
Yeah.
Just having it is fun. You tell your friends, I got the best drill in the city. Wow, I want technology. No, you want to do something, right? What do you want to do?
Hang pictures.
Especially, very often people say, you want to drill a hole through the wall. No, you don't want to. Nobody likes holes in their walls.
You like to remember moments with your family.
Your wife asked you to do something like this.
Yeah, so the functionality is the ability to make a drill, to make a hole in the wall, but the true benefit is to hang your family photo on the wall. This is what they are interested in. They're not interested in your drill or your drill bit. In fact, they would love a world without the holes. But when we talk to technology entrepreneurs very often, they explain everything about the product. We have this lovely, 3,300 rounds per minute, a new model. And you say, so what's in it? No, but it's a new product. So like somebody, was it Michal who said yesterday, be innovative, don't offer the same thing that is already there, that is improving things just a little, especially if the benefit does not change. People don't want to change. Nobody wants to buy products. Companies do not want to invest to any technology. They are only interested in the value. And for companies, of course, it is very often monetary. It's difficult to say what is the monetary value of hanging your family picture into the wall. But if you're not improving that, should you be in that business or not? You have to invent something new, like a special tape that you can use over and over again that doesn't leave give a hole through the wall and so on. Remember, many personas are needed, and even within one solution of yours, there might be many personas involved. So the end user persona, the one who is hanging the wall, might not be the same person as the customer, right? How do we define a customer in business? A simple question, almost as simple as the man on the hill.
Someone who pays for the product.
The someone who pays for you, yeah, the person you can send the invoice to. But very often, even these two simple words, end user and customer, get mixed in the talk of the entrepreneurial team. One is talking about the end user, one is talking about the paying customer, and they might not be the same. And when you are selling to companies, we can have the economic buyer, the one who is kind of making the deal with you, the final deal, and signing the documents, but that might not be the person who is deciding on it, right? It can be the chief technology officer and so on. So you have to understand, especially in B2B, what is the decision-making unit? Who are involved in the decision-making and how are they making the decision? And I show you, I explain you two cases. The first case is this product. How many of you have ever seen this? Have you used it?
I don't remember, but I think I've seen it physically.
First time I've met the person who had, you did not own it, no.
Something close to it.
Yeah.
I used it once.
You use it. Do you still have it?
No, it was a 9, I just used it once.
It would be worth having because now it's a collector item. Every time you find a lousy product, keep it because it will become a collector item at some point.
What is it for?
This was launched in 2007 when Nokia was the leading company in telecom, or sorry, mobile phones. And the idea is that you can combine a phone and a gaming console. So it is both a phone and a gaming console. It was in cage. Sorry?
It was a good idea.
Was it?
But the execution.
because it died from the market in 2 years.
The execution was like.
Maybe not at that time. Because it was because of the economic crisis and it was because of other problems.
It was before the economic crisis.
The technology is not there. I would say there's like a confusion in who is this targeted towards. Like it's kind of both. It has like it's had like a huge price probably, and it was targeted towards.
It was at the beginning. It was like $4.99. Then they dropped it to $3.99. But the price did not do the trick. But we can ask a few questions. Who is the persona? Is it the one who is very much into gaming?
No.
No.
Maybe some parents.
Yeah. Who is the end user? The teenager, right? Well, if the teenager is pretty much into gaming, will they like this compared to Nintendo? No. Is it better than a normal phone? No. And who is the end user? It's the teenager. Who is paying for it? The parents. And I have just bought my son a Nintendo. This is an imaginary example. We didn't have any case in our country. I just bought you Nintendo and I bought you a phone, and now you say you need an in-cage. No good. Will you drop your phone and Nintendo? No, I won't. So one of the best companies in the business failed in understanding that you need a persona. The persona needs to get the benefit. The gaming people did not get much benefit, and the people using phones did not get much benefit. Yes, the product was new, the product was innovative, but maybe the functionality and the benefit parts were missing. A good friend of mine was the Nokia gaming chief that time, but we have decided not to talk about this. We still want to be friends. He's okay now. His recovery is slow.
This is like a second version because there were like 2 different.
They tried all kind of a tricks. They added some features and they dropped the price. But if the value proposition is failing, it's not about the price, because nobody wants to buy products because they are there. You only buy products that will do something for you. And this is another company, Ekahau. They are not now in a totally different business. How they started is that they created an asset tracking system that was based on RFID tags, radio frequency identification tags. And one of their main markets was to sell it to big hospitals. And with their technology, you could locate a critical device like an X-ray machine or magnetographic or something you needed with a 3 centimeter accuracy. Previously, it was 3 meters before their technology. And we discussed this yesterday. Why is it important to know it like 3 centimeters rather than 3 meters? What's the big difference? You are tagging your most expensive medical device in a hospital, and now you know it with a 3 centimeter accuracy on the hospital map. Where are these? Or some key doctors as well. What's the difference between 3 meters and 3 centimeters? They might be in a different room, but even worse. Yeah, now I know that it might be in this room, or that room, or that room, or that room, which means that you buy the device to every single floor because you do not know, and you don't have time to move them around. So they said now you can have less of these machines, you can save in your medical technology cost and so on. But what they find out, that if you want to sell this technology into an American hospital, for example, who is the person who gets most of the benefit? What do you think? Sorry. Doctors, because they can give better treatment, they can spend their time better. So the medical doctors and the chief medical officer, the chief doctor of the whole hospital. Can you sell this technology to doctors? They don't understand it. So who is your technical buyer?
Controlling board of the hospital.
Maybe the controlling board. Most likely you have to explain this to the ICT manager of the hospital. But then who is making the deal with you in the end?
Director, probably.
Managing director, and he might even ask the financial director that, can you check these calculations, that do we really save money if this happens? So they figured out that they thought they have one customer for hospital. They found out that they in fact have 4 personas within the hospital they need to talk to. All of them are interested in slightly different things. One is about the care, one is about the technology, one is about the money, and the managing director has to understand all this. So remember, even that in that case, direct sales in the beginning, and later on they figured out that they were a small company, they cannot cover the whole USA on their own, so they need a local partner to sell this. And they made a deal with IBM. So IBM was their representative selling hospital technology in America. But the IBM hospital sales guy has got many other products to sell. So he's another person. How do we convince to that sales guy it's worth spending time with our technology? So all of a sudden you have one product, one customer segment, hospital, and 5 different personas you have to talk with. And it's good to understand and discuss in the teams that what exactly what we mean when we talk about our customers, or we talk about, I think we're going there. And remember, your personas will change when you and your business will grow and proceed. And how many of you know the TALC curve, Technology Adoption Lifecycle Curve? TALC. TALC is also a chemical compound that your mother used to your bottom when you were young, right? But now we talk about a different type. We talk about tech adoption lifecycle curve. And now be honest to yourself. I ask you to choose one of the categories where you belong to. When you are hearing there is a new technology available, some new technological concept, how are you likely to respond to that offer? So, to which category you belong to? I put here, we have innovators, we have early adopters, we have early majority, we have late majority, and we have laggards. And I calculate quickly, we are 8, 10, 20. Each one of us makes 5%. Have you made your choice where you belong to? Okay, so who belongs to the first innovator category? Always buying the latest technology and sometimes failing with that, but still buying technology because of technology. 0% in our case. Early adopters. 20. Early majority. Raise your hand properly, so easy to calculate. 8, 9, that makes 45%. Late majority. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 30%, and theoretically there should be 1% in the laggards. Yep. Okay, 5%. So our curve looks like this. This is our technology adoption lifecycle curve. And you did not know anything about TALC theory, no? And this is what's been said by the Chasm Group. How do markets develop? The whole coverage of the curve is your lifetime market. What is the total market you can talk to during the life cycle of your product? And they say that typically only like 2%, 3% of people, but also from companies, are innovators. And most new ideas, they get some attraction from the innovators and early adopters, and they have difficulty in going into early majority. When you look at the figures, they are not so different from what we had, really. Compare the two sets here. What is the learning in here? The first customers, the innovators, and by the way, every new true innovation starts from here. What is the Apple market share in mobile phones nowadays? Does somebody know? Roughly.
Depends on the market.
Sorry?
Depends on the market.
But
60%.
globally?
So 45. Oh, globally it's like 30%.
Globally like 30% max.
Yeah.
How long has it taken from Apple to go there?
10 years.
Apple was, iPhone was launched, sorry,
2006.
2000. so 15 years, and now they are 30% of the market. Year 2011, if I remember correctly, they were 3% of the market. And they were, by the way, already then 50% of the profits of the industry. So remember, it's nice to have market share, but it's even nicer to be profitable, isn't it? But the idea is that in the beginning, they really were talking to enthusiasts about technology. And later on, it has become more popular. In one of my master's courses, one person said, I asked, where is iPhone now? And the person said, it must be in the end, my grandparents have already iPhones. Kind of, yes. How many of you have got a smartwatch, something like this, sports watch? So half of you guys, when did you buy it?
Last year.
Last year, I got this one like 3 years ago. When was iWatch launched by Apple?
2019, 16, I guess.
16 or 17. Where are they now with iWatch? Where is it on the curve?
Almost everybody is.
Early majority. So what is the learning here? That even though iPhone and Apple had already walked all the way to the end, iWatch was a new concept, and it also started small. It was expensive, only the enthusiasts bought it in the beginning and so on. So do not imagine, please, that your solution will make an exception. It will go directly to the mass market. No, it will not. You first have to convince these people, and by the way, they will help you in understanding what you should do and what you should not do. Because the techies give you a lot of feedback. They might even give you improvements. But on the other hand, they might be happy with complicated solutions compared to the later segments. So you have to launch your product 5 times for 5 different personas. And you need 5 different marketing plans. Marketing is made of, if we take the Philip Kotler's 4P model, it's made of the product, price, place, and promotion. And then we have the 4C model of marketing, communication, customer relationship, and so on. So one product only with one type of customers at once is not very good business plan. Yes, you have to start from somewhere, but remember that things will change. It's better to prepare for the change than be surprised by that. So the takeaway in here is that the startup team has to share the same idea. What is the market? How we are segmenting the market? What is the principle? What is the BHM? Beachhead market. What was the beachhead market, so to say, of Allied forces in the Second World War? In the battle to win Germany in the end. What was the beachhead? To understand the concept. Normandy. You cannot go to Germany from all corners. You have to against Germany from all corners. They chose a segment, the coastline of Normandy. That was the beachhead. It was the first step to the bigger market, and that's what you should have as well. Once you know the beachhead market, you have to understand how business runs, who makes the decisions, how are the decisions made, and so on. And then you start thinking, okay, now we have ideated, we have done research, and now we have to create something. And if you fail, you may end up developing solutions that nobody wants. Eric Ries, how many of you have heard about his book, Lean Startup? Have you read it? So he tells about how they were technologically a great team. They started this kind of IMVU, I am with you, very clever name, isn't it? And the idea is that you can create an avatar that socializes with other people. So you can keep your privacy, but you can still kind of socialize through the avatar. You can choose the clothing and the look of the avatar and so on. And what he writes in his book is that 70%, if I remember correctly, of the features they put into the first product, people said, not really interesting. They were only interesting to the people making it. They did not talk to personas because they thought the personas are like they are. The techies, you know. No, they aren't. The techies could take any product and they would be happy just figuring out. But when they wanted to get normal people to use it, and it got overly complicated.
what Stephen Gary Blank says in his books, like 4 Steps to Epiphany, love your customers, don't love your products. So find the customers, find what they need, and then go and develop a product for them. And do it in a minimal way. So next thought, I think we will, let's see, how are we doing time-wise? How much do we have time? Like 10 minutes?
15 minutes.
15 minutes, okay. I want to talk a bit about innovation as well, so take another side of the paper. Divide the paper into 3 segments like this. Sorry for being in a rush, but you came late and the world does not wait, so I have to speed up a bit. Okay, just to revitalize your brain in a Wednesday morning. To the last segment on the right, I asked you to do squibbling. Do you know what squibbling is? Soon you will. Squibble is a form of any kind where you can only use round figures and the lines have to meet in the end. This is a squibble. This is a squibble. It has round shapes. This is not a squibble. And this is not a squibble because the lines do not end. Make a few free format squibbles of your own taste. To the last segment of the paper. Remember, only round shapes and the lines have to meet in the end. Don't make too big, make many of them. Any form is good as long as it fills the criteria. Only round figures and lines have to meet in the end. And make more than one. Done? Good. Okay, let's talk the remaining time about the product. And then we have the competition, 2 competitions. So, first of all, if you work in a big company in their R&D, in their product management, it's pretty much people have specific roles, they know the direction you're going to. But when you are a startup, like you are in this course, you are experimenting rather than executing. And what you should think about is that what is the minimum viable product? The product that is not final and perfect, but it has the minimum functionalities. Remember, if somebody wants to preserve the family memories by hanging a picture of the family on the wall, your minimum viable product has to fill that need. But it doesn't have to be looking good, being very neat, being very economical. But it has to have the key features, hopefully low cost, and do it soon. And don't waste 2 years developing the perfect product, because the customer feedback you get is more important than the time you spent in the laboratory. Hopefully it's something you can even sell, and you can get feedback, and then you can make your next product version. Michal was talking about prototyping a lot yesterday. So if you were the first person developing a telephone, that would be the minimum viable product. How many of you have used that with your friends or small brothers and sisters? That is a telephone. The voice is transmitting through a cable. This was a good minimum viable product for any telephone, basically before the wireless phones came in, the cellular phones. By the way, what was the first minimum viable product for a telephone network? Not cellular network, but a fixed line telephone network. What was the first place where people were using a telephone network?
On the streets.
Sorry?
Streets.
On the streets?
Like the.
Isn't it like the railway?
Yeah.
Railway. So they were putting lines around the where the railway went, and then we had a telegram line or telephone line.
Yeah.
That was the second generation. So it was not the World Wide Web, it was W or WF. People in the Wild West noticed that they had these metal wires going around their parcels where they kept their cattle, and when you connected something like that, we saw in the previous picture, those metal wires were also transmitting the voice. And they created local telephone networks. Of course, the problem was that everybody was able to listen to every call. But it was a telephone network. It was a minimum viable product, and it was already existing there. No need to invent anything. So sometimes you find the minimum viable product from very strange places. Remember one thing, be clear in your team, what are we talking about when we talk product? Is it something that you say it looks like this, then we call it a mock-up. When it's a prototype, it's a mock-up that should work somehow. Prototype also carries the functionality. And especially in software, as you guys know better than I do, we do alpha versions, first testable products, beta versions that we very often launch to customers as well, or potential end users. Nowadays, you can create a digital twin, and then you can kind of simulate for a physical product how it would work. Like you have a digital twin of a, how would I say, what would be a good example, of a power plant that is using, for example, bio-waste. And then you say, what would happen if that bio-waste was 10% more dry than it is? And then you can do kind of calculate what would happen in the different stages of the process. And then the minimum viable business product is something that you want to launch, you want people to buy and use. And between all these stages, you hopefully learn and you make these pivot moves. So you should be able to create one, maximum 2 pages of a product datasheet. And product datasheet is not just a technical specification that the engineers are giving to other engineers. When you give a business presentation, when you give an investor presentation, they very often, if they are interested, they come, okay, can you hand out to me something about your product? And then you must have it, the key features that are more important than your technology, the technical specification, and hopefully connection to other texts. And that one data sheet should not, I have put it here in a very creative mood. Don't write a document that is more like a love letter to your own technology. Think about the customer. What do they want to know? What do I buy if I buy from you? What does it need from me? What kind of skills do I need? What kind of infrastructure do I need? And what other technologies do I need, and so on. And remember, if you can do it in a simple way, it's always better than the complicated way. This is what I'm teaching to teach when I coach baseball, that you can do these things in a very easy way or a very complicated way. The easy way normally feels better in your body, and the ball is flying faster. So always try to find the simple way, which, by the way, is not the way you guys in engineering tend to talk. You love solving technical problems, and you don't care whether it's a complicated solution because you're so proud that you solved it. But your customers might have a different view. I was once coaching in an entrepreneurial course a person who had a double doctorate degree, one in mathematics, one in information technology. And with my American colleague Sharon Ballard, my grandma in entrepreneurial coaching, we had meetings every week, and he was talking science to us. And then Sharon said, could you please explain your idea in 1 minute? And he said, that's not possible. It is so complicated. I said, well, you have to speak it in 1 minute. We give you 1 minute. He did not say a word. Then Sharon said, well, can you write it down into one piece of paper, like 1 A4? No, it cannot be done. It's so complicated. And then Sharon, who is a very tough love lady, said, you know what? I ask you one question. Do I have to be as clever as you are to buy from you? It's a tough question, isn't it? And the man says, well, you better be. And what was the answer from my coach colleague?
No. Nobody.
Nobody can buy from you because nobody is as clever as you are in this. He was not able to take the step to the customer side and talk it simple. And you should be. You should be able to do that, but you know, saying things shortly is always more difficult than saying things in a long way. So many people have been quoted for saying, sorry, I wrote you such a short letter, a long letter, I did not have time to write it shorter, right? Because you have to think about every single word. And you have to practice, you have to talk, and everybody must have the same idea of the product. One of the most successful ICT entrepreneurs in my city, Matti Hall, who created 2 companies who are now stock listed, he once realized that he thought they had one product they were selling. They were selling ERP system to SME companies in maintenance and electricity and so on. But the reality was that every time the sales guy was in a meeting and the customer said, we would like to buy from you, can you make one little change to the product? And what does the sales guy say? Well, you know, this is 100,000 deal. And the R&D guy said, well, give me 1 day, I will make some changes. And they did not have a product anymore. They had a huge family of products and nobody was able to keep customer service anymore because every customer had a different product. So you have to unify your team against the one and same idea of the product. To whom, which persona, which benefits, and which is the product that will deliver these benefits. And then you plan how to go further. And product is not only the product, it is all the other things built around it, like service, sometimes financing, after-sales service, and so on. And then you can create a roadmap. You start with your product 1, based on these technologies, based on these R&D, and you're aiming to those markets, and so on. Road mapping would be a seminar of 1 more week. With whom do we have to unite our views? The team members, the board, the shareholders, if they are not you, but also the people you want to recruit. They have to understand who is the customer, what is the product, external investors, the government, which is very often interested in young companies, partners, and also you have to be able to talk to the media because you want every publicity you can get. So if we are just thinking we are on the same page, but we are not, we are failing. And now comes the team competition number 1. The first team who can draw me 9 different pictures of the phrase, I saw a man on the hill on a telescope will win a chocolate bar. Go for it. Minimum 9.
Well, I have one.
The team who's got 9 pictures will raise their hand and shout bingo, and then I will check.
All right,
Punch of the day. So
together we have then you are done, right?
Yeah, well,
oh yeah. You came late to this. Okay, so the idea is you read that. In that sense, you draw pictures of those.
The question is very simple. Who are on the hill or is on the hill? Who's got the telescope? And answering those questions will lead you to the answer. How many have you got? 3? They are going on the fifth one.
With the telescope, the man is down.
And then we have
You
the hill has
that is not like 1, 2, 3.
Yes, why not?
And the telescope down?
The telescope can be on the hill, they ignore it. You're on the hill, that's cool. And now with that guy, it's like the guy is.
How many have you? 6, okay, you're racing for the goal. Some people are on number 6 already.
That's that. You're on the hill, you have but it does you have no, that's a guy. Somebody else is on the hill. Isn't that what it's like? That's the.
South Bingo, also me. You have to South Bingo. One, 2, 3. Okay, let's review.
We have this.
Three versions where
It's like here. That's like without telescope, the telescope is little down.
I would not take that because I was using stick. I don't use it. Game is continuing, not accepted.
And we need one more.
Well, telescope has to be with some set. It's not accepted. Game is continuing.
We can try just with the various
So there are 3 versions where both of you are on the hill.
And we also
But you need to throw all the notes.
Game over.
Honestly,
Congratulations. So basically, remember, there are 3 different interpretations. Who is on the hill? Either the man is on the hill, you are on the hill, or you both are on the hill. 3 different interpretations. You have the telescope, he's got the telescope, or sorry, the man has got the telescope, or the hill's got the telescope. And so on. So minimum 9, there might be more. By the way, what is the gender of the man? What is the gender of the man?
It is not a gender, I mean, it's like, what do you mean?
What is the gender of the man on the hill or lower?
I mean, it's.
Remember, man can mean a man or a woman.
Yeah, it's
It
like.
can mean a human being. So even that one word has 2 meanings. So if we multiply all the choices with these 2 genders, we have 18 different versions. So I assume now you understand, we have to talk and share and agree in a team. What do we mean with certain expressions? And we have to be able to communicate that. And now comes the final part of the day, which relates to the innovation. Now you have a scribbles in here. And the last one is a creativity competition, and the judge, the referee, is better there. Every person, you have this one empty segment. Draw me a bird. I'm like here, I'm not very good at bird drawing, so anything that you think is a bird, to the empty segment on the left.
Nice one fucked up duck. I don't know what the ducks look like in Hungary.
Done? Ready?
No.
No. Devil is in the details. We just want it to be understandable as a bird. Your idea of the bird. Done? Good. And now we have one empty column there in the middle. Draw me an innovative bird. No further explanation. Draw me an innovative bird. You should now have the squiggles, the bird, and now in the middle you put an innovative bird.
That's the
That's an innovative bird.
Yeah, that is.
That was an innovative bird.
That was about
That's what is an innovative bird.
I think so.
Done?
No.
Don't over-invest. This one is the innovative one in the middle.
What?
Innovative one is in the middle. Okay. So does everybody now think you have an innovative bird there? Ready? Ready? Okay, and now I will tell you that you don't have very innovative birds because you are bounded by your knowledge. This is very typical with people with engineering background. They are, Bertrand Russell said already like 50 years ago, 70 years ago, sorry, we have bounded rationality, which means we think we are rational, we solve things by logic, but we are carried away by the emotions and so on. What I state is we also have bounded imagination. Our innovativeness is bounded, it's limited by what we know. So what I want you to do now is to change your scribbles into birds. You have 3 elements in your use. 2 legs, a tail, and a nose. That's a bird now, isn't it? Turn your scribbles into birds.
No, okay.
They tend to be a bit more innovative than the innovator does. Is it more innovative than that? If you wish to more scribbles, but did you get some innovative birds there? Okay, good. Is it more innovative than your innovative one in the middle? It is, because you were not thinking about the bird when you were designing it. Yes. Okay, and now the last part. Have you done turn your squiggles into birds? I hope you notice that they are more innovative than your innovative birds, because you were not thinking about the bird when you did the squiggles. So you were taking more freedom. You didn't know it's going to be a bird. And that's how your customer thinks. Now you have to choose from your team the best innovative bird. Put your team name there and put an arrow. This is our candidate, and you send it to Peter, and he decides who's the winner of the last part of the presentation.
Martha had a nice bird.
So Peter, you go around and you decide who has the best innovative bird.
In which position is this innovative work?
Sorry. They will explain what is their candidate. So what is your candidate? Can you repeat that?
So you like them all?
This is the innovative work.
But it must be from this, yeah, it must be. So it has to be from the.
Yes, the scribble first.
Yeah. Okay.
Or if you say you had a better one in the middle, then fine.
Well, that was a middle one. I like that one.
Is that true? 1, 2. At 5 you have the.
I take that one.
Okay, second motion.
This one.
I like that one.
This, all right, so this one. Candidate.
Yeah, then
Take a comfort. Take a picture.
that's true.
We don't know if we're supposed to recommend the middle or just like any.
One candidate from your team for Peter to assess with the winner. What is your best bird you want to put into the competition?
Innovative.
Just in time.
Okay, Peter, the winner is.
I think I am winner.
We did not see your bird yet, but. Peter.
I like Picasso, so to be honest, it is impossible to decide.
He's got the bounded rationality. Yes. So the winner is.
I prefer to use emotion than rational.
Okay. Okay, thank you everybody. That was my message to you today. Share, talk, use the same things when talking product, market, customer, end user. I hope you will be on the same hill and you know where the telescope is. Thank you.